Hello everyone, and welcome to June 23rd, Wednesday of the 12th week in Ordinary Time of our liturgical calendar. So you've heard in the reflections from our other staff members this week that we as a staff will be taking a little bit of a break from doing our daily video reflections. So this will be our last one for a little while. We'll be taking a break during July and August. Summer offers a great opportunity to refresh ourselves, to renew our minds, bodies, and spirits. And after so long a time in being separated from one another during the months of the pandemic, in a particular way, this summer feels really important, feels very special. A time to see family and friends that we haven't seen in a while. A time to travel and enjoy nature or different places. And I'm looking forward to all of those experiences. I was watching the news last night, and they were showing Times Square in New York City, and it was buzzing with activity, filled with people. And considering how desolate that spot was for so many months, it was very hopeful to see life reemerging. Over this past year, I've learned some things about myself and about my faith. And I realized something that on the surface might seem like a contradiction, but it doesn't feel that way to me. This connection between how much I need to give time to my personal relationship with God, and yet also make time to be with others in sharing that faith. So I realized how much my personal connection with God grounds me and really kept me going during this past year and a half. So many of the usual distractions of life were taken away, and I was forced to look at what was really essential for me. And at least for me, I realized that there's a big difference between wants and needs. I might want different things, but during this time of the pandemic, it became so clear to me that all those wants are not very essential. What I needed became very focused, very clear, and one of those things was my relationship with God. At the same time as deepening that personal relationship, I also realized how much inspiration and support and hope and comfort I received from others and sharing faith with others. I just feel really lucky because I had a lot of different groups that I was able to connect with. One was my Faith 365 group, different book discussion groups, prayer groups, the members of the Justice Advocacy Ministry and members of the Cultural Diversity Ministry. In being faithful to meeting with these different groups each month via Zoom, and now we're able to do it in person, my faith was really strengthened through the interaction with them. And when I felt myself getting low or not feeling very hopeful, it was the connection with the folks in these groups that really held me up, really supported me and inspired me. So I need both to really cultivate and make an intentional choice to give time and attention to my personal relationship with God, as well as these groups with other people. So for this summer, I have a couple things I'm going to do to nourish myself, and maybe these ideas might inspire you too. I made plans to go away on some days of retreat at a retreat center at the shore. These will be days of quiet, of silence by myself, And I'm really, really happy to do this. It's been several years since I made a spiritual retreat. And at one point during the months of the pandemic, I resolved to make time to do it this summer. And I'm so grateful for that. And it will be a time for just God and me and no one else. And to deepen that relationship, deepen that love that I have for God and God has for me. And I also have a plan to connect with people I consider the nourishers of my soul. I actually have a list of people I want to visit with, not only to renew that relationship with that other person, but to also support one another in our faith. They're like fellow pilgrims on the journey of faith. And the list helps me to stay focused and not become lazy in reaching out to them. And in doing this, I'm sure that I'll feel restored in making the connections with those who care about things that I care about, as well as being able to nurture each other. In closing, I want to read a poem, one of my favorite poems by Wendell Berry. It's called The Peace of Wild Things. And poetry and music really nurture my soul. Maybe it does for you too. And so I encourage you to take time this summer to nourish your own spirit in whatever ways that you do that, whether it's music or books or poetry or nature or whatever. So here's the poem. The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. As I was reading that poem and specifically talking about coming into the place of wild things, I'm sitting and facing a window in the church, and as I was reading it, a mother deer and her little deer, little fawn, that's it, I couldn't think of the word, came walking by. And I just love that. It's a great sign of taking quiet and peace in nature. So blessings to you and all those you love, and thanks for allowing me to share with you all these many months. It's been a connection that's been really meaningful to me, and I thank you for the different notes that you've sent to me. And so for these summer months, I wish you rest and relaxation and fun and refreshment for you, for your bodies, for your spirit, for your heart, for your soul. And until we see each other again, I wish you much peace and deep, abiding hope.